Well, thanks a lot for staying with us here on Sunrise Live on E on this Monday morning. Now, the Global Entrepreneurship Congress is in its 9th year, and this year it brings together masters of industries in terms of investors, policymakers, as well as researchers to develop new ideas and find ways to help up-and-coming entrepreneurs. So the Congress opens up a platform for entrepreneurs to come together and really share ideas, discuss insights, as well as make those, one would say, lucrative connections. So in studio with us this morning to really deliberate further on the actual Congress in itself, we've got the Minister of Small Business Development, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, as well as she is the executive at Hollard Insurance and partner of the GEC. Now, we invite you at home to be always part of our conversation. Leave your comments on our Facebook as well as our Twitter pages. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Now, one would say that it's quite a busy time, especially when it comes to the fact that we've got about, 157 countries that are on South African soil this time around for the Congress in itself, and it's in its 9th time, first time on the continent, Minister.
Yes, it's the first time. You'll recall that we did come through to your studio to tell you about it. It's now here, so we all have to feel it. We're very excited about it because we've got almost now 8,000 delegates that I'm told we had targeted about 5,000 delegates, but obviously we are oversubscribed. We're very excited.
But I mean, obviously it's the global perspective when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? And then obviously bringing in that African representation of entrepreneurship. So some of the topics that have been deliberated on, and I'm sure when it comes to business, we know the challenges and the access to actually succeeding in the business realm. So what have been some of those insights that you've gotten so far from it?
So, Faith, for me, it's more around saying how do we start creating that ecosystem for entrepreneurship in Africa, And I think it's important for all the role players to come together, understand this space and start saying, what do we do to make a difference for entrepreneurs in South Africa and in Africa and in the world? I've been to Colombia last year to attend the same conference where it was hosted, and the problems of the entrepreneur are the same regardless of where you are in the world, and the biggest one is access to markets. And the question is, how do we make that happen for Africa as well?
Yeah, well, obviously to start off from a policy perspective, Minister, perhaps this is where the department plays such a crucial role, because I think it was even the finance minister was speaking about that in terms of if we really want to make successful entrepreneurs, we need to start making policies that are favorable for the entrepreneur. So how far are we in championing?
It's about creating a conducive environment for entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises, innovators, because these are innovators. These are just people who see a problem and they look for a solution to that problem. But in order for them to be able to do that, then you need to create the conducive environment. So when they've innovated something, there's got to be support for them. That's why as a Department of Small Business Development, we're working very closely with other departments like science and technology and so forth to give that support. But this Congress in particular, the theme is digital disruption, and it fits in very well. Digital disruption, building one global ecosystem, exactly what was said earlier on. How do we create a global ecosystem that makes it easy for innovators to be able to be innovative and then take whatever they've innovated to the global market?
And obviously speaking about digital, so we're speaking about the 4th Industrial Revolution here as was proposed by the World Economic Forum. It is not a new conversation. Unfortunately, when it comes to the continent, it's slowing down. But it does not mean that it's not here. Whether or not we choose to jump on this train of innovation and technology, it's going to leave us if we don't jump on. So for example, I'm going to be practical, ladies. We're going to have real conversations about entrepreneurship this morning. If entrepreneurs are coders, right? So they are coders. They need the financial muscle to be able to take their businesses and also get those access to markets. In a South African or even in a global perspective, how then do we start championing innovation at that level practically by putting our money where our mouth is?
And you know what, Faith, the one way of doing that, for instance, in corporate SA, is to take our own business and use those innovations within our business, not see it as a sideshow, something that we must support on the side and give funding, but we need to say, I'm at Hollard, we are an insurance business. Digital disruption is real for us. So we're saying, how do we use that platform of digital disruption to take our business further? So partnering with those coders, with those youngsters who are doing this thing.
And not steal their ideas.
And not steal their ideas.
And not steal their ideas. And then they become a media hoo-ha, and then you have to pay the poor kids out.
Exactly.
So how do you not steal their ideas?
I use the word partnership. And Hollard is a partnership business. We were born of entrepreneurs. Our founders saw a problem 37 years ago in the insurance space, and they started this business. It's now the big business that it's become. So partnership is always how we've done business. We partner in everything that we do. So we don't see it as saying, come share your IP with us and then we take it and run. We actually want to make a business out of it with you to give us access to a particular market that maybe we cannot reach the conventional way.
There's another issue, sorry to just come in there. It's all about education in this space, because some people in the township, for instance, or in some rural area, they've got bright ideas, they put something together, but they don't know what steps to take to protect what they have. So the issue of education, which should actually start even in the schools, so that people are aware of the fact that the milk they drink, the iPad they have, or the cell phone they have, somebody started that invention, but that person knew exactly where to go, how to protect it. We now in South Africa needs to focus on how can we make our people aware of the processes of protecting whatever innovation they have.
Are you happy then from a ministerial, from a departmental perspective in terms of being given more money into the department? I mean, it's over the next 3 years. It's about 3.9 billion rand over the next 3 years. So in that sense, does that make you happy?
No, it doesn't. It would never make me happy.
Because you want 5 billion.
Yes, believe me. And the reason why, I know that some are saying, yo, but you're giving this money and you're not using the money. Remember
Did you
that
not use the money? What happened? Did the money
it's
not
very in size. It's very little amount of money that was not used. And there are reasons for that. First and foremost, you won't get money and just start throwing it around. You got to make sure that your systems are in place to make sure that there's accountability on both ends. There's got to be accountability on my side, but there's got to be accountability to where the money went to, because I can't be putting money into spaces where a year later people come back and say, you know, Minister, we don't know what happened to the money. That's another issue altogether. But remember that the money that is there doesn't sit just with the Department of Small Business Development. The money goes to your Small Enterprise Development Agency. The money goes to your Small Finance Agency. So the money goes to those agencies which have offices in all 9 provinces and have got also more than 50 outlets. That's where the money goes.
So perhaps then it's if I'm understanding you correctly, that also it's also up to entrepreneurs who do have that innovative practices to actually come forward and say, here's something that you should be investing in or even taking a look at, so that the money can be spent, so that money is not seen. Because you and I are going to be honest, when a viewer at home is listening to this conversation going, but the department is just, and the money is going back to Treasury, and then we're saying that we need more money, it does cause that bit of a disconnect, and I would think that from an entrepreneurial perspective, it makes entrepreneurs feel despondent. So it's important then to start clearing the air for the sake of entrepreneurship in this country.
So Faith, I think one of the things that we would like to do after this Congress, because the Congress is an event, it's a great catalyst for a different conversation once it's done, you know, and we're saying, so what after this? And it's exactly to start saying, how do we start connecting policymakers, corporate, entrepreneurs themselves, and everyone else who's trying to support entrepreneurs in one way or the other to have access to funding and markets. If the money is sitting with the department and as corporates we say this is what we need in the industry, say for instance in the financial services industry, we need innovation around these things. Let's work together and find those entrepreneurs who can meet that need. Now all of a sudden access to markets is there, funding is there, and the two converge and hopefully you end up with entrepreneurs who can meet a particular demand within a market. And I think that is the big catalyst that we need to work on after the Congress, you know, next week.
Because otherwise it becomes just another talk shop, and we know you and I speak quite often about talk shops and the need to actually stop with the talk shops as well. So when it comes to around policies, and when it comes to policy frameworks, again, the barriers to entry when it comes to small business is a topic of conversation. I must applaud the work that's been done so far. So, for example, I understand that the South African Revenue Services are making it easier for entrepreneurs now to get access to their documentation, even on time, and they even have a one-stop shop. So from that entrepreneurial perspective, we really must applaud the effort being done. What else can we do from a policy framework? Please speak to DTI. We need to really lower those. No, man, we need to lower those. We need to have real conversations. Please lower those barriers.
We are having the conversation with the Department of Trade and Industry, because we must also never be separated that now we have this Department of Small Business Development and anybody else doesn't connect. Everybody connects. In fact, for SMMEs and entrepreneurs, connect is important for in the whole value chain of departments.
Got you.
Each and every department has got something to offer. So now we have to open up the space and say, here is the Department of Education. What business is within the Department of Education? They need books, they need pens, they need this. Who's producing that? Where is the tender going to? Is it going to one big company, or are we breaking it down? And remember that we've also got the 30% procurement now, which is going to force everybody to go and look at to open up the space in the value chain for small and medium enterprises.
Talk to us about the Congress. I know that after this show, you are going to to address the pre-GEC pitching competition. It's a national competition. It's been held, and now all of a sudden everybody's sort of gathering to get the actual final winner, or so to say. Tell us about that, because it's quite exciting.
Yes, that's very exciting. There in all the 9 provinces there were these pitches. I only attended the one in KZN, and so the best who won in KZN are going to be pitching today. So finally we hope that we can get somebody South African specifically to win.
Such patriotism.
Look, I think for me, that also gives people exposure to funding.
Yeah,
right? There'll be a lot of investors coming from around the world, especially the US, and so we'll be on the spotlight as a continent. And these kind of pitching sessions and some of the sessions that will be happening during the week will help to put our entrepreneurs on the spotlight, and to say there is talent in Africa. And
can somebody still attend if they want?
Unfortunately
No,
not.
it's
We oversubscribed
over.
8,000
Yeah.
and so unfortunately people can sort of follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and make their comments, and hopefully there'll be a lot of posting in there for people to see what's going on and what's happening. But this is not the end of it. If you miss this Congress, this is not the end of the world.
It's only the
we
beginning.
are now going to have Global Entrepreneurship Network Africa, and there will be a South African a structure as well, and we're going to start hosting this Congress ourselves as Africa every year, like the global one is being hosted on an annual basis as well. So we will still see a lot happening in the continent around entrepreneurship.
Good news for entrepreneurs, though, as well. So thank you so much to the both of you. We're leaving a conversation there this morning for this part of the discussion, joined by the Minister of Small Business Development, Lindiwe Zulu, as well as Holland Executive Ingileti Shirelele, giving us a conversation about that GEC. Be sure to participate on your social media pages for various information. For now, we're going to take a quick ad break.